Hello everyone, welcome to our first tool walkthrough video of the term. In this short video, what we'll do is go over how to use TimelineJS to visualize historical data. This is your first step into data visualization in a digital humanities project. We're using TimelineJS because it is what's called an open source and scholar-driven platform. So it's being shared freely with others. Remember, collaboration is very important for DH. And openness, and it's being made by scholars. So it's not a third-party company trying to sell something to us. I strongly suggest look for those words when you're trying to find a tool, whether you're going to be working on a project or if some of you are going to be educators in the future. Look for open source and scholar-driven. And what we're going to do this video is go over how to use this particular platform. Normally, you would go to timeline.nightlab.com and click make a timeline, and then you get all these instructions. But for our purposes, I've made it a little simpler than that, where you'll go straight through the class. So what you'll do first is go into week 3, so the September 11th to September 17th. And you'll want to click on the TimelineJS activity. That's the assignment. I know the syllabus says Collaborative Digital Humanities Timeline. That's part of the assignment too, but that's where I'm going to display the work you do. So let me open that up for you too. So what we'll have is we'll have the timeline here where people can go through and see the different content you've made. And I'll bring together everyone's content and put it into this shared timeline. But for your purposes, you won't work directly in this right now. You're going to work within your own. So we'll go ahead and go back to where it's called TimelineJS activity. That's how you're going to submit this assignment. Now, normally you'll have an introduction in most assignments where I talk about what's the purpose of the assignment, why are you doing it? And if you don't see clear instructions there, then usually that means you need to click the Add Submission button and more instructions will pop up. So in here, I have these steps for you to go through this. My purpose in these sort of assignments where you're figuring out different tools is I don't want it to be a mystery for you. I don't want you to think, how do I do that? I want to be clear step-by-step information. So please reach out to me if there's anything unclear in this video, if there's anything unclear in the steps. I want this to be very transparent because my goal in these early assignments, especially in the ones where we go through how to learn a new tool, is for you to get confidence in that assignment and in that tool so you can choose which ones you want to use on your own later. So what we're going to go through is how to add media to your timeline and how to test that media to make sure it actually works, and then submitting your timeline. So remember I said that collaboration is very important in digital humanities. TimelineJS is great for that because we could all be in the same spreadsheet and could be adding different lines of historical data and then see it in real time together. Because this is a new tool for you, I'm simulating that. So what you'll do is you'll click on this link and see how there's copy at the end. That's going to make it where what you get is your own spreadsheet. That's because when we're doing collaborative work, we need to be careful and not end up deleting someone else's things like that, which I'm sure none of you would do on purpose, but mistakes happen in collaborative environments. So once you click on that link, let me go ahead and go back so you can see it again. Once you click on this link, it'll ask you to make a copy. Go ahead and click that. And if you aren't logged in, go ahead and log in with single sign-on with your Centenary account. And then what I suggest to do, in case you've done this a few times, you might even want to change things up here. Maybe add your name or something. But just so you'll, something to identify, in case you stop and come back to this later, you'll be able to say, oh, that's where I was working. Now, once you're at this point, you can go ahead and find the row that you like the most, and that's where you'll start working. But first, let's look at what is in this spreadsheet. Now, I know this can look very different from a timeline. For example, we have one about Ada Lovelace here for Founding M Computers. And so what you're seeing here is how this sheet will be presented. So what we have in here is the different columns are the content and the rows are the specific dates in your timeline. I want to point out, if you hover over any of these, they will tell you if it's required. They'll say how it works sometimes. For example, with media, it'll tell you what is whitelisted, meaning what you can just put a link in and it'll do it. Okay? And so you can see that there's some are required. So we have year, click on that, year, month, day, and time. You just need to have the year, and you won't be adding that. You'll be adding in content instead. Let's kind of go over how this works. That we have the starting year and the ending year for ones that have maybe a time. You could just have a starting year. So this is for the Index Thomisticus. We'll talk about that. That's sort of the, in some ways, one of the foundings of digital humanities. Then you can also decide, even if I have a beginning and end year, maybe I'll display a different date. I can even go down to the beginning and end time. Then we'll have a headline. And this headline right here corresponds to this text here. You'll have text where you can put any sort of things that you want to say. Now, this is HTML responsive. You are not expected to know any markup language in this class, though, so don't worry about that. But that's what's happening here, is I'm just adding a link in there. Then we get to the important part for you is the media. That's what you'll be adding, is the media credit, and the media caption. You won't have to do media thumbnail. You're welcome if you want to, you don't have to. The media is a link, so we can't upload files to this because it's a shared Google Drive spreadsheet. It's Google Sheets. But we can use anything that's online to link in there, and it'll pull it in to the timeline. So here we have Ada Lovelace's portrait. So now that we've gone over the components of this timeline, let's look at what you'll do with it. We go back to the assignment. So what you're going to do is, the other part, you're going to select an event that interests you and has no content in the media column. You're going to search for that media that offers a richer experience. So this could be a YouTube video, this could be a SoundCloud link, this could be even a social media status, this could be a Wikipedia article or a direct link to an image. Any of those things, you can bring that in. Then you're going to paste that link to the media content you choose and provide attribution in the media credit if you use something like an image. So let's look at that in detail. So that's the first steps. Let's say here I have the Wikipedia article to the Index Thomisticus because that's an early DH project. But let's say instead I want to have a picture of Robert Jabusa. Then I can delete this in here. I can go up. Wikimedia is going to be your friend in this. You want to try to find things like a YouTube video or Wikimedia or something like that. So before I had this article in here, because if you take a link from Wikipedia, put it in TimelineJS, bam, you've got it in there. It'll show up. But let's say if I want this image, what I'll need to do is I click on the image, and then I'm almost there, but not quite there yet, because this is actually a wrapper. You want to go into more details. This is great at Wikimedia Commons. There's already a fair use argument usually. There's already a public domain argument. So if you go to use this on the web, great. There's some great things in here. One, I had the file URL. I'm going to take that, copy it, go back in, paste it in there. Go back. I say you need media credit. You need to show that we are able to use this, because it's very important when we're in a group like Digital Humanities that values openness and collaboration. Part of that is you don't want to just use anything on the internet as though you own it. You want to make sure you have the rights to use it. And one way to say that is Creative Commons. Creative Commons is a way for someone who owns the copyright to say, I'm giving this to the commons with these restrictions. In this case, this is CC0, that's actually public domain. So Creative Commons can be a way to say, hey, I have this content that I've made that I want other people to be able to use and remix and do things with it, but maybe I don't want them to sell it. So I'm going to copy this, go back in there. That's that media credit. It can be something as simple as that, especially with an image. You won't necessarily need this if you have something like a YouTube video, and I'll explain that in a moment. And then in the caption, you might have something there, but I might say, picture of Father Roberto Busa. I might even say more, like what year it was taken, things like that. Something that could be sufficient. Let's say if I want to have a thumbnail in there. That's as simple as, it's actually the same link, and this isn't required for assignment. If I paste that in there, and there, it's good to go. But what if instead I was thinking, oh, I don't really want to do an image. I found this video that really explains something about this. Or sometimes you'll find a video from the person, and that's great. What do I do there? So say it's in YouTube. So you see, here's some of my lecture videos. You just need to get the share link, and YouTube is whitelisted. So that means if I copy that and paste it in there, that's where it'll be. And then I won't necessarily need media credit, because with a link like this, what's happening is if they've allowed you to share it, because a creator can say, no, this is not shareable content. If there's a share link in YouTube, that means that creator has agreed for people to embed it in other sites. So if you're able to, then you're fine with that. Because really, this is the window into another site. It's not like you're taking their content and putting it on your own site. But then, in those cases, still put a caption or something that explains what's happening in there. It could be something short like this. You actually want to be short, because look again. See, there's not much room for the captions. That's where the attribution goes. That's where the caption goes. So shorter is better. Now, once you decide to do all that stuff, and this one right here is going to be messed because I have my lecture video and then stuff about a picture, but that's fine. It's just an example. But once you're done with all of that, the next step is you want to test your media. All right. So let's go with that now. We're going to go over how to share it. So we're going to go up to File, go all the way down to Share, Publish to the web. And so just go ahead and you just do entire document. Your options are entire document or OD1. OD1 is just this sheet. That's the only sheet there is, so it doesn't make a difference. And then we're going to click Publish. Click OK. Now, here's an important distinction to make. Once you've done this, don't get this link. I know it says like, that's the embed link, use that. NightLab doesn't really play nice with that. Go ahead and close it once you published it. Go up to your URL, just click there, and copy that. Now, once I have that, I go over to NightLab. See, I'm already in there, but where you would do that is from the assignment, I give the link. So you just click right in here. Okay, so you just click right in there. And then go ahead and click Make a Timeline. You've already done all these other things, and you're going to scroll down to step 3. Remember, I just copied up here. Remember, you want to copy this URL. Once I have that, I paste it in there. And you also choose like to have different width and height, but that'll work for our purposes. Then go down to step 4, click Preview. And you'll need to try to find your particular thing. So see, if I go here, we can see that my changes took hold. My video's in there, and it makes no sense of the content because I showed you a YouTube video afterward. But you want to find wherever you are. So if you click and drag, if you do a later one, you can find it. You want to find whichever one you're wanting to find and see if your media worked. Let's now go over how to turn this in. So what you want to do is return to that sheet. Select the row that includes your added media and highlight it. then paste the URL to your sheet in the text box provided down here. All right. And that's so that I can see what everyone's done and I can move them over to our shared sheet. So I want to go into here, click this button, and I'll highlight it yellow. Just make it sure that I can skim through big. Oh, that's the one this person works on. Then you want to take this link, go back to here, and just paste it in and click Save Changes. Then once you've submitted that, you'll be all set. I'll bring them all together and I'll put them into our shared sheet so that everyone can see and kind of learn from each other. As always, let me know if you have any questions or have any sort of difficulties. These assignments, again, these ones that are these tools, the whole point is for you to be able to get the confidence you need to select the tool you want in the end.